welcome to Soul Sparkle Radio. I'm so excited to have you here today and also to be joined by my sweet friend, Kari Samuels.
Yay! I'm smiling because I'm with Haley.
And this is my first in real life interview, which
IRL.
is IRL. Super fun. So we're so excited to have her in real life. Kari is, well, a lot of things, but her official title is what, if you call it that, is intuitive counselor and happiness coach. And that is exactly what she does. She offers this incredible, well, multiple offerings that I hopefully you'll get to share with us. But these beautiful videos that literally I wait till the first of the month to get. I'm always checking. Has Kari posted her video yet? Because it just is such a lovely way for me, and I'm sure the masses, to just have a sense of what might be coming and what to expect in a magical world that we live in.
Forecast.
Yeah, forecast.
Forecast.
Yeah, for what's to come.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. So we'll dive right in, and the first question I would love for you to share with us is, what makes your soul sparkle? What lights you up from the inside out?
Being with you right this minute is nice. It gives me a happy feeling inside. And nature and my husband and connecting with spirit guides and angels, it makes me happy. And then from the process of connecting with my spirit guides and angels, they help me show me what will be happy next. So
Nice.
yeah, all good things. It's like a moment by moment thing. Like sometimes you think something's gonna light you up, and then it does for a little bit, and then it stops.
Right, and then it's a new thing.
Then you're like,
You're
what's
off
gonna
to the
light me
next
up
thing.
next? Yeah, you're on. You move on to you're just on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a moment by moment experiment.
Yeah, but then also just allowing yourself to be lit up in that moment.
Yeah,
is lovely too.
Yeah, not thinking about the next moment.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people do that. They're like always on to the next thing. You're like, did you know what you did to get here? It's like you had to do a lot to get here.
I love that about you, because that's so, I feel that so much about you. You're just like completely present all the time with whatever's happening. You're just like, okay.
Most of the time.
Not always.
I mean, there's times when I'm, I get caught up in something, and then I notice that I'm, oh my gosh, my brain and not my soul, right? It's activated here, and then I'll, change it. But it's a matter of noticing it, right? And then making sure, it's a practice.
Right. On the daily, on the regular practice.
What's the IRL version of that? OTD or something?
OTD.
Yeah. And I want to make sure I'm looking at your peeps.
On the daily. Sorry, I'm looking at you.
I know. I'm gazing at your big, luminous green eyes. And I'm like,
we're talking to the people, our friends. Here are the Soul Sparklers. So we talk a lot on the show about creating a magical life, right? And you actually have created exactly that. You make a living from creating more magic in the world.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, and maybe our listeners are too, has it always been that way for you?
Oh God.
Or what point did you have some kind of breakthrough epiphany?
I had all that.
Okay.
All that. Check all of the above. I was born in the Bronx. No, I was born in Manhattan, but I was raised in the Bronx, and I had humble beginnings, really rough childhood actually, because I was this little sensitive soul in this very kind of rough, place. And, I was very neurotic, I guess, too, because I wasn't taught how to listen to my intuition, and wasn't taught, I grew up very blue collar, it wasn't about we made choices in a different way. Do you know what I'm saying? So
more of a rational, logical,
the practical survival.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of my early childhood was just about surviving. I was bullied a lot, a lot of sensitives. I know it seems ironic that sensitive people are bullied a lot, but it's one of these soul agreements we all come in with. A lot of sensitives are actually not brought up So I had, I felt when I was younger, I was one of those people that bad luck followed me everywhere, and that terrible things always happened to me and good things always happened to other people. I had an awakening in my 20s, and I was, it was something astrological, actually. It's called the Saturn return. When I realized I was psychic, And so I started making decisions in a different way. So what happens was when being psychic, um, I started to connect with something greater than myself, with our guidance from outside of myself, the divine guidance. And so when you start to connect with something greater than yourself, you're guided in a way that is magical, really. But it's not, it's like magical realism, actually. It like, the results are very magical and dramatic. The process isn't actually. I always say, like, listening to your intuition is a very quiet process. It should feel very natural. But the results, you start to understand, like, why things happen to you, and then you can let go of certain past hurts and things like that, and you start to understand that there is a plan to your life, and that when you follow that spark within you, that's your intuition guiding you towards, like, what is your destiny. And so when you are following that guidance, that part that lights you up, you'll always be guided toward the right place. And it often guides you towards the road less traveled, the path less traveled. And the thing about that is that, we're taught to listen to this spark in our soul, like that part of us that lights us up. I mean, that's our natural state of being, but actually we were taught not to. So we're taught to be rational and practical and survival
and all of those things.
And the thing is, so there comes a point where you have to make, and I always feel like your intuition's tested. Like, are you going to choose your heart, or are you going to choose what you think is best? And those times when you choose what's in your heart, even when it goes against logic, it reinforces your intuition. But usually there is somewhat of a test, I think. And then when you start following that, when you start really listening to, like, wow, the part inside of me knows better than the part inside of me that's just the rational part. When you start to listen to that, all these opportunities unfold, because then you're really in the flow of your life. You're really, there's like a river. Like, if you imagine, like, life is, you're on there's a stream, and you're being guided in one direction, and you could feel when you're being upstream, but like, our mind will convince us that swimming upstream is like the best thing we can do. But then when you're listening to that part that lights you up, you're actually going to be guided toward opportunities, because the universe wants you to fulfill your soul's purpose. And you have all this help.
Yeah. So how did you continue? So once you had the awakening, and once you started to realize and connect with your guides and things outside of yourself, then what happened? So, like, if listeners are in that place of maybe they've just started to tune in or tap into their intuition a little more, are there some, like, resources or any tools or tips that they can do to kind of stay in that flow and in that alignment?
Yeah. And I feel like most people, even when they start to tune into their intuition, or do tune into their intuition, there's still so much doubt.
Right.
The first thing I would suggest is to remember that there's always a solution, and you will always get clarity eventually. Right? That's the one thing. Because sometimes when we're in the middle of a transition, like when you're like, you know what's not good for you anymore, but you're not sure what is good for you anymore, what happens is, that's when we start to doubt our intuition.
Good question.
That's when we start to feel like, I'm not intuitive, I don't know. But just because you're intuitive doesn't mean you're not going to go through that process. I'm actually getting angel bumps when we're talking, which is usually when my angels say, please talk more about this.
Yeah.
So when those are like those goosebumps that go so it's really trusting those inner, that, like, transition time too, that to remember that you're going to be guided, but the process is very important. The process of knowing like what you don't like anymore and rediscovering, like, you know, maybe you are going to go on a journey or an adventure to discover what's right for you. You know, it's like when people are looking for their soulmate, right? And you're not necessarily meant to get your soulmate like your first date because you're meant to go on a journey. You're meant to go on a process of discovery. So in those moments, you know, it doesn't mean that you're not being intuitive, but what your intuition is going to be talking to you through that soul sparkle, like that part that lights you up. So it's important if you're making two choices, right? Like, you know, one of two, you're deciding between two things or like five things. Like you always have to go at least, and none of them feel amazing at the time, right? You at least have to fine tune, like, well, which one feels the best right now?
Right.
Which one lights me up more? Like, which is the part that gives me more? And if you commit to that, even if it's not perfect, commit to exploring that, then it's going to take you to the part that maybe, because those times when we don't really feel like anything is making sense, when we're in those transitions, it's maybe like you just maxed out on like a soul lesson and you're in a brand new territory and you just really have to like go explore the neighborhood, you know? And then, or it could be that like you've gone really off course. And so you have to like just, you know, your GPS is recalculating and may take you on some side streets and they may not be the highway, but you have to just say, well, this one's at least feels more in the right direction. But I think we're afraid of committing to things because we're afraid of being wrong. But it's like, it's one of those things. It's like, you got to remember, it's like your intuition is like a GPS, always going to recalculate, get you back on path. You're never going to really steer so off path. Like it's like your intuition will never go away. You know?
That's so comforting. Like that right there, just knowing that no matter how far you veer off, you'll always be brought back. Like I had to go to the whole East Coast before I got on the West Coast, right? Like I went 20 hours in the opposite direction of where I needed to go, right?
But the East Coast taught you something, and that's the thing. It's like, because I don't even want to make it sound like people are on the wrong path, but it's because there is no wrong path, but it's that, you know, maybe you want to take a more scenic route, or maybe you want to get there the fastest way, or, you know, because there's a lesson in everything, and you're always going to be guided toward that. But it's that how far upstream do you want to swim? It could get more exhausting the farther off, you know, so in that kind of sense of the wrong path, it's like, you know, you're born to do something, you're born to contribute a unique gift and talent. And if you are always going in the direction against what makes your soul happy, it definitely won't feel as good.
Right. And it probably just takes a lot longer to get to do the work that you're meant to do in the world too. It takes you a lot longer.
And you maybe even have to come back
another
lifetime
and get a do-over.
Yeah, and then it's like you get a more like steeper hill that time because they want to make sure you get it.
Yeah. So it's almost, I'm hearing you say, it's almost like feeling comfortable in uncertainty, right? And that's almost like the space between, knowing that just because you don't have what's next, you know what's not happening or not working. You may not know yet what the next path is, but you know you can trust that you're being guided the whole time.
Right. And so people think like, oh, if I'm psychic or if I'm intuitively connected, that means like you'll always, like, it's more about trusting that and listening to what you can. So it's like, and there's tools that I use too, like I use a pendulum sometimes to ask about probabilities, and sometimes my pendulum just doesn't move. It's like, I don't want to talk to you about this. And then I have to go on another exploration. I use oracle cards sometimes if I'm not getting a clear answer in my meditation. Tarot cards, oracle cards. Every now and then I'll ask one of my psychic friends, you know, because it's like, maybe I'm guided toward getting objectivity, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. You don't want to ask a million people. You're gonna,
You know, you did a lovely class the other day that I did, which was awesome. And I'm glad there's a replay because I'm gonna listen to it over and over. But one of the things that you taught was around tapping into your guides and how to utilize that inner guidance and your spiritual support team basically to help when you're not really clear or sure.
Or any day. I just use, connect with my guides every day.
Yeah. So maybe that's something that they could also learn how to do to stay really, really connected.
Yes. So when you did that meditation to connect with your guides, did they show you anything that was?
I don't know that there wasn't anything like specific, like not a picture. I mean, I know.
Was it energy?
Yeah, it was energy though.
Yeah.
I just
That's
felt this
what I thought it would be.
really beautiful sense of just calm and we've got you. Like,
So the thing is about it, and that's why I asked if it was anything with what it was, because when I guide people to connect with their guides, most of the time, like a lot of times when I connect with my guides, they won't necessarily give me an answer. They'll show me an energy that they want me to embody. Right? And so because they're working on such a high vibration, they'll help you embody that energy. And that is all you need sometimes, is to take on a different energy.
Yeah, I love that you say that because I have had, so there's a couple of things where I personally take it as a sign that I'm doing exactly what I need to do, I'm where I need to be, and I'm on the right path. And one is feathers. You'll see them, I mean, they're like, they just show up all over my place, in my life, which is fun. And then also hummingbirds, right? And hummingbirds, I looked it up because I'm like, what is the medicine here? Like, what is the message? And their message is to like light and easy and fun and joy and bring all of that into my life.
Drink nectar all day.
Right, And so for me, it's like, and what's interesting is when I feel like I'm at the highest, the lightest, most fully expressed and lit up and excited in my own life, that's when they show up.
Yeah.
It's like I'm at the right frequency. We're matching. Yes.
Yeah.
Which I think is so interesting. So maybe being more aware of when things like that show up too. Do you have any like spirit?
Yeah, you always look at messages, but I still want to emphasize the other point because I feel it's not complete.
Okay.
So we often think that listening to our intuition is like getting an answer, right? It's so much about feeling an energy. So when it's about paying attention to your feelings. So when something feels off, you want to recalculate as soon as you feel off. It's not so much about, that's why I'm like, what did your guides give you? So they gave you energy because they wanted to give you a sense of calm. And when you're in that sense of calm, you can receive intuitive guidance in very subtle ways. You won't even know you're getting it sometimes. If you're in that sense of calm, you're in that sense of trusting. That's all you need to get to the next step. But if you're panicking, you really can't hear your guidance.
Right.
So sometimes it's literally just about getting into that energy space of listening moment by moment in a very calm way.
And do you feel, so a lot of times that's a feeling in my body, right? Like, and the way I think about it is what feels light is right. Like if it feels light, then in my mind, I'm like, that feels expansive, that feels spacious, that feels light. That is usually a sign to me that that's the right decision. If I feel like my stomach is kind of like, if there's a heaviness or like I just kind of want to go like this.
Yeah.
Or like I can't get words out, then usually that's like, oh, then maybe that's not the right thing.
Right, but most people will convince themselves that is. Like,
but
that is one of the biggest ways.
Okay.
Yeah, the feeling of openness, expansive, lightness, or constriction. And you may want to like play with it a little bit.
So they can learn.
A lot of times, I teach people close your eyes and say, I'm a woman. If you're a woman, that will feel all right. And if you say I'm a man, you feel. And for some people, it will be the slightest contraction, right? The slightest little thing that says, But you really want to start paying attention to that because you want it to be. That's like clear. You want to learn. So you can just practice with that. Like, my name is whatever. Or then you can ask her, am I a woman? Am I a man?
Right.
So you get to like really feel what's right and what's truth and what isn't.
And then you can learn what truth feels like and what it feels when it feels
what's
good.
right and open and
right. I love that.
It's
Practice.
easy.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
Right.
You know, I'm at the point now where like my body's so like that like it's very dramatic. Like I could touch an herb or some kind of food or something, and my body will constrict if it's not right for me, or it will feel, you know, like I'm so
sensitive.
Yeah.
And in tune. Yeah. Yeah. But you weren't always that way.
God, no.
So it's taken
practice.
Yeah. So practice and just time, right? And asking for guidance.
Practice and commitment.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's a way of life. It's not like a thing. It's just like a way of life. You know, are you going to listen to your intuition or not? You know, and so it's like it's a 24/7 process. It's not hard, though. It's not like work. It's just my way of life. You know, intuitive. Like I listen, I pay attention. I do look at clues. Like if you see an animal, a different kind of animal that you usually see or something, it's definitely a message.
Right. Yeah. And to pay attention. And then if people were interested in kind of following that path and finding out more about like your teaching or different things that you're offering in terms of tools, because that class I did was really, really helpful. Like I said, I really am going to do it again. But what other ways that or resources would be available that they might be able to tune into and learn from? Air conditioning. I'm going to turn this off. You keep talking.
Air conditioning, because it's like 1,000,000 degrees here in San Diego.
I know. It's so
loud. And you mean my resources? Yeah. And I'll give you a link, Haley, to put up for that specific class.
Yeah.
But in terms of that's not fast. In my but KariSamuels.com, KariSamuels.com. I've got tons. The video that you're talking about.
Tell me about the videos.
Those are on the YouTube. But if you subscribe to my channel or website either, you get these monthly forecasts where. Now, it's not going to tell you what happens. So when I talk about forecasts, I'm not going to say what happens. It's like a weather forecast. I tell you like the energy weather. So it's like, you know, Mercury is going to be retrograde, like, you know, how to prepare for it. Or we have a certain numeric vibration or different kinds of planetary alignments, like what the energy weather is. And it's very important to actually, because imagine if you didn't know the weather. You wouldn't know how to prepare. You'd be like, what do I do? You know, like I'm going to dress for summer and then it's a blizzard, like you're going to be stuck. And so I think, you know, we've lost these tools and a lot of people don't have access to energy weather forecasts. And then they're like, why does it feel like a tidal wave is coming? And so that's one of the tools I would very much recommend that you subscribe and get those forecasts, because they're going to help you plan for the month in a way that you're, you know, or maybe you don't know, but but it's like that. You don't want to get caught in a blizzard, right? Like an energy blizzard, and then wonder why you're so frustrated. If you know how to work the rhythms of the universe and work in harmony with that, your life is you're going to be going with the flow. Yeah.
And what I think is also helpful is just being aware of what's possible.
Definitely.
You know, I don't always like Mercury retrograde. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna pretend like it's not happening.
No,
I'm just not gonna
it's not
do
a good
that.
Idea. It's just really not a
I
good
know,
idea.
right?
It's not a good idea.
So just being aware of it, it's like, okay, now we know how to navigate with as much ease and grace as possible.
Yeah, like Mercury retrograde is really helpful. Like it's not there to punish you, but it's like what happens is people think that Mercury retrograde is just like any other time. And so if it's a high tide, it's not good to go swimming, but maybe it's good to like go inside and do other things, right? But if you know that ahead of time, and there's really very positive uses to like a Mercury retrograde, you're just not the best time to try to set up a new computer.
Right.
Like, just don't do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think part of your work too just helps people avoid, extra suffering, like for no reason.
For no
Why
reason.
why
Like,
do
why
it?
would you do that? Why would you do that to yourself? Like, there's
Yeah.
a science to this. That's good.
Mhm.
Like, you do want to listen to the weather. It can be helpful. Like,
Right.
just don't put yourself through unnecessary suffering.
Yeah, it's silly.
And it's not even just unnecessary suffering. It's like there's a lot of joy in when you do know how to navigate the cycles. Like, I love Mercury retrograde. I know it's not weird. Because it gives me time to go back and edit things. And
Well, and it also helps us to sync up our life into the universal flow, like the cosmic flow.
Yeah,
like,
who doesn't want that?
Why not make it easier on yourself?
Easy
you know?
peasy. Easy
And
button.
yeah, we want the easy button.
That's Haley's
Exactly. I love that. I've got a lot of silly things I say. But anywho, I love that guidance that you give. And then is there anything else that's fun, exciting, that's coming and happening that you'd like to share? Because I know you have the documentary. Big thing.
Oh, yeah.
That's coming.
Film, documentary about
Tell
beliefs.
You're so cute. She's just like, just this thing.
But I haven't seen it yet. I hope it's great.
It's gonna be
I'm sure it's
fantastic.
going to be fantastic. There's a million things on the horizon. I'm looking to, I have a lot of courses already on my site that are like for everything.
So how to connect with your angels.
And romance and all kinds, because I've been with my husband 21 years.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Like amazing.
Yeah.
He's amazing. And romance and empath empowerment, like how to manage your sensitivities. Like, that's already there. And I'm creating a membership site so that people can have access to me.
Wonderful.
Q&A type of thing, and like monthly healings and stuff. So I do eventually want to create an intuition school, like an academy. So
oh wow.
like a Hogwarts for grown-ups. So I'm going to
That's awesome.
Yeah. So like, hopefully people subscribe to the list so that you are up on all those things.
Where there'll be like magic wands and things, like I could have my magic wand.
That might be good.
And capes.
I can get you
I'd be down. If there's a cape, I'm in.
Yeah, you could do anything you want.
And then are you also doing your podcast?
I am.
Soon? Okay.
Soon, yeah.
Yeah.
Get psyched. Yeah, that's coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So there's a lot of ways.
A lot of stuff.
A lot of ways
A lot
to
of
connect
stuff.
with this Kari.
I like helping people connect. That's my jam.
That is your jam. You're so good at it. So I love it.
So are you.
Yay. Okay. Any other last minute final words of inspiration or motivation to help people create more magic in their life?
Magic.
Yeah.
You know what? I want to emphasize that creating a magical life is a very easy and unmagical process. Do you know? I just really want to emphasize that part of the magic is in appreciating everything you have and recognizing the beauty all around you. And when you're connecting with these amazing, divine, magical beings, it's in a very natural, calm, easy way. So to create a magical life, you don't want to be dramatic.
Amen.
The results are dramatic. The process is
simple.
So I want to emphasize that because I think people maybe get confused.
I think so too. I think they also think it's not available to them.
Always available. 24/7.
Amen. And I think by just doing, little bits, little things.
You're changing your energy as you keep changing your energy toward one of peace and harmony and hummingbird, raising your energy. It's like as you keep raising that vibration, your life changes and it's effortless. It's like you exercise and all of a sudden you're in great shape, and it's it's a daily process and then things change dramatically over time with these daily maintenance. Daily, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And it takes time.
Please take time.
So thank you so much.
Yay. Thank you for having me.
And thank you everyone for joining us, and we cannot wait to have you on the next episode of Soul Sparkle Radio.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.